big in the game. You're trying to get an edge. It didn't work. Dallas rolls. This game was over at halftime, okay? It's 101-90 the final. Luka Doncic, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. Kyrie Irving scored 19 of his 21 in the second half. When this is the story here, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George had 16 points combined. Ivica Zubac had more points than both of those guys. That's a problem. Break it down. Welcome in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. John, let's start with the fight. It was unnecessary. I get it. You're frustrated if you're Russell Westbrook. You're not getting a lot of time on the floor. But, I mean, that's just they show more fight in that moment than they did all game. What did you react to? When you saw that, what did you think?
Yeah, exactly that he was frustrated, that the Clippers were frustrated. It's been a chippy playoffs, right? I mean, I've got a Sixers jersey behind me. Sixers and Knicks fans and also the two teams have been going at each other. But it's been like that across the NBA. It was certainly like that in this game tonight. A couple of moments with Russell Westbrook, even before this whole thing happened with PJ Washington. Not surprising that they ended up tossing because he did get a little out of control there with the shoving and the pushing. But they had bigger problems than this tonight, Akeem. I mean, Kawhi and PG absolutely no-showed offensively, and you mentioned it in the lead in there. Zubac was better than both of them combined. When Zubac and Norm Powell are your best players on the road, coming off of a loss at home, when you get Kawhi Leonard back, that's a problem. And it was tonight. You only scored 90 points if you're the Los Angeles Clippers. They looked awful, and the Mavs, conversely, defensively, really put the clamps on them.
Are the Mavs good defensively? Because we've said for so long that Luka was a liability on defense, and they forced 19 turnovers, scored 29 points off of those turnovers. Is all of a sudden Big D good at D?
I'm really glad you brought this up, because after the trade deadline, after they added Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington, Jason Kidd, a lot of people give Jason Kidd heat for not making adjustments, not being a good coach. He looked at that team and went, Luka's amazing offensively, Kyrie's amazing offensively, we're bad defensively. You know what we should maybe do? Add some defenders around them. And that's what they did. They put Derrick Jones Jr. into the starting lineup along with Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. And then all of a sudden, over the last, 18 games of the season, they had the #1 defense in the NBA. Gafford, he was hurt in the last game. He comes back tonight, super active defensively, as was Derek Lively. Offensively, those two guys combined for 21 points. So not only are you getting them active at the defensive end, but also they're giving you some contributions at the offensive end. So, yeah, this team kind of down the stretch was playing a little bit through its defense. It's always going to be how Luka goes. It's always going to be how Kyrie goes. But when you can hold the Clippers to 90 points, that's not an accident. They've been doing that since the All-Star break.
And they held them to 93 points in Game 2, and that's back-to-back wins under 93 points, and it's a 2-1 series lead. Luka Doncic, 1 assist shy of a triple-double, and Kyrie Irving goes for 19 of his 21 in the second half. This is what you need from your two stars, and Luka was also banged up in this game and still getting done. What did you see from Luka in this game, one game after he goes for 32?
Yeah, another Luka performance, right? As you mentioned, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. And then Kyrie, same deal. His running mate started off slow, only had 2 points in the first half. And then second half, all of a sudden, he was making drives to the basket, putting stutter steps on guys, step-back jumpers, and you're like, oh, right, that's Kyrie. And so those two guys together are really potent offensively. But we should note that tonight was a night where, despite the fact that they are always dynamic offensively, they only shot a combined 15 for 42 from the field. That is not an efficient night from those two guys. That should have left them vulnerable. That should have left the Mavs open to a comeback from the Clippers, but the Clippers at no point could counter. They didn't capitalize on any of that. Kyrie and Luka, yeah, good game from them numbers-wise, counting stats-wise, but there was a moment there when they were vulnerable, and at no point did you feel like, okay, this is when the Clippers are going to make a run. And that says a lot about the Clippers, because they really wanted to get Kawhi Leonard back, and he comes back and he just doesn't look right. PG no-showed again offensively, and it's a dangerous spot for the Clippers right now, and the Mavs are rolling.
Look, I don't want to be the prisoner of the moment, but I'm going to be the prisoner of the moment, because if I were a Clipper fan, which I'm not, but if I were a Clipper fan, I don't know that I have any hope rest of way here. When Paul George scores 7 points in 30 minutes and Kawhi scores 9 points in 24 minutes and has 4 turnovers, what hope do I have? What hope do I have now and even going into next season? This doesn't feel like it's even working.
You don't want to be a prisoner of the moment? We should both be prisoners of the moment. Lock us both up. I'm with you. If I'm the Clippers right now, I am really worried about this. I'm thinking to myself, oh, no, we got another game in Dallas. We are staring at a 3-1 deficit. And you and I talked about this after game 2. Kawhi comes back. All of a sudden, if you're the Clippers, you're like, hey, we won game 1 without Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi's back now. We should win game 2. Now it's advantage us going to Dallas. Instead, Kawhi comes back. The Mavericks win game 2. And now they've got momentum coming into game 3. And they keep that momentum and look really good doing it in game 3. Now all of a sudden, they've got a 2-1 lead. They got game 4 coming up at home. They win that one, commanding 3-1 lead. Yes, absolutely. I hate to say this to Clippers fans because they've been much abused throughout the entirety of their existence. But they should be nervous here.
Yeah, they are down 2-1. It feels like they're down 3-1 right now. Staring a 2-1 deficit. That was bad. I mean, that was bad basketball, John. That was just bad from the Clippers.
It wasn't great. None of it was good.
No, it was embarrassing for the LA Clippers, and now they're down 2-1. They'll try to bounce back and even up the series on Sunday as it continues in Dallas. John Gonzalez, break it down for us here on CBS Sports HQ as you take a look at the series schedule rest of way. Game 4, as I mentioned, Sunday back in Dallas. Series shifting back to Los Angeles on Wednesday, where...
Hey, welcome to NBA Countdown presented by Hennessy. The NFL draft is going on, so you know we had to bring in our number 1 pick. It's Chiney Ogwumike, the one and only Kendrick Perkins, a guy, right, who turned down an NFL career to go, get a championship in the NBA.
Offensive line had to be.
All here in studio.
What do you think?
DN.
I was like, you thought you were a receiver or something, a tight end or something?
I was skinny back in my day.
Okay.
Woj is going to be by shortly as well. It's time to check out tonight's key matchups delivered by Hennessy. And who is made for more? Luka Doncic sure looked like he was made for the moment in Game 2 against the Clippers. But what else is new, right? Luka averages nearly 35 points per game in the playoffs following a loss. That's the highest mark, by the way, in NBA history. But Chiney, we saw Luka do something he has never done, really, in all of his career. What was that?
That's right, Malika. We all know about the offense. I mean, Game 2 was Luka's 30th playoff game, and only Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain have scored more points through their first 30 playoff games. But it was what he did on the other side of the ball that truly stood out. Defense, let's run the tape. Now, he guarded 9 different players, and I'm going to show you the key 3. James Harden walked into this matchup 28-8. He held them to 1 of 5. Now let's go to the second leading scorer, Paul George. Luka, no double necessary, no help, on an island, held Paul George, who averaged in the regular season 22 points per game, to 0 of 1. But this right here was the most important because Kawhi, this was his first time back in the postseason in this game. He held him to 0 of 2. I've seen Kawhi Leonard win games with shots like this. Watch this. He's going to turn around. Typically, there's no help. He can get a clean look. Instead, Luka Doncic held him to 0 of 2 and was committed to contesting the shots. Y'all, Luka held the Clippers to this number, 2 of 17 shooting when he was the primary defender, and LA went 0 for 11 when Doncic was able to commit and contest the shot. And again, y'all, he guarded 9 different players. He did say quite casually, oh, this is what I do. But Luka, we know your hands are full offensively, but for them to win and be successful in the postseason, he's got to buy in on both ends, and it's like we're starting to see that.
Not to mention when he had that clutch shot down the stretch, he was doing a little bit of everything. It's crazy to say this about a guy who dropped 70, Kendrick, earlier in the season, but that might have been the best all-around game of Luka Doncic's career there. What does it mean for the Mavericks if he's able to realize his full potential this postseason?
It means that they got him one. That in the near future, I'm not saying now, that they possibly can win the title. If you get this version of Luka Doncic, first of all, he's unstoppable offensively. We know what he's going to do. He led the league in scoring. We know how valuable he is when it comes down to making guys around him better. We know he's an excellent rebounder at the point guard position. But if you have Luka sliding those puppies and defending the way that he's doing right now, I'm not saying this year, but absolutely they can win the title led by Luka. Because let me explain something to you. When you're in the locker room and you're doing your scout, you're saying, you know what? We got to make Luka guard. We're going to try to take some energy away from his offensive end and make him guard. But all the greats rose to the occasion. Think about Steph Curry. The last championship he won, The Boston Celtics, they tried to pick on them.
True.
We saw him battling Al Horford in the post.
Yes.
Right.
Luka is mentally engaged. Shout out to J. Kidd and shout out to Kyrie Irving with his leadership. But if the Mavs continue to get this version of Luka, this year they're going to go to the conference.
That was a good point, Perk.
conference
Next year,
finals.
they're going to, next year or the year to come, NBA Finals, championship.
All right, so that's the Dallas Mavericks side of all of things. I do want to get to the Clippers side of this because their offense, it really sputtered in game 2. They've been trending that way when healthy, right? In the last 10 games Kawhi has played in, they've gone just 5-5 while scoring 109 points a game. They went 39-20 when he scored 117 with Kawhi on the court before this stretch. So Kawhi described their offense, Shanae, in that last game as stagnant. And really, it was their worst shooting performance of the season. How can they figure it out on that end of the floor?
Well, they have the tools, and I would say